Let's talk expectations, Asante, because I have a great deal of them. And I have a great
Mm.
deal of them because Microsoft currently owns Activision, Blizzard, King, Bethesda, and has Xbox Game Studios. They are the biggest publisher in the world right now. And we have been hearing some, some out in the open channels and some secret channels that we're not going to talk about. But the show is going to be big. And we know it's going to be big because already Tom Warren has told us yesterday that expect this show to be massive. Now, whether you take Tom Warren at his word or you don't, that's entirely up to you. I still trust the man. And again, some of the stuff that I have heard, no specifics, just the size of the show, it is going to be very impressive if you are an Xbox fan. If you are someone that is waiting to see the next greatest thing, you're going to see it in spades. What are your personal expectations?
Well, honestly, so my big expectations is to finally start putting some meat on the bones on a lot of these franchises, right? I want to start, like somebody said, State of Decay. I want to see the next State of Decay, like for real. I want you to stop it being a cutscene that we saw so many months, so many years ago, if you will, at this point, and let it really be, let it exist, let us see what it's about. Show us the nitty gritty details. I need to see Gears. Right, it's been a while. I need to see Gears, and I need it to be the benchmark that it always has been. Boom and I chat all the time. When Gears shows up, it's an event. Why? Because last time Gears showed up, it brought with it auto HDR. That's what Gears brought to not only to consoles but to PC. Right? It brought auto HDR ultimately because that team likes to push the envelope, and every time they do, everyone benefits from it. I expect it to push the envelope once again. I don't have to get too deep into what they will push the envelope on. Their parent company, what they've been peddling these days. So I expect a lot of that. I expect to see what next gen features that game and with it will bring to the masses, right? Honestly, I want to put more meat on the bones on all the small little clips. Where is what the heck is that name of that game? Contraband. Yeah. Where's Contraband? Right? I want to see Contraband. I want to see what Contraband looks like. I want to see it in a playable state potentially, right? I want to see South of Midnight. Show me South of Midnight. Blow my wig back and tell me what I have suspected a long time now, which is Clockwork Revolution is playable and buyable this year. Show me that. Let me just go, oh my God, because I'll be in the room. Look for me. I'll be the guy going, oh my God, when it happens. I'll be in that room, right? Show me that. I see Risk It for the Biscuit. He's 10 toes down. He says Gears Tactics 2. You'll get to that super chat. If that were to happen, that would be massive. That is a franchise. That is a game in that franchise that is woefully underrated. Amazing game.
I played it for 10 minutes so good. And then went back.
It is so good. People people remember like the Halo Wars stuff fondly. It is that good. It is so good. And on the topic of Halo, damn it, give me a freaking campaign. I don't even want to see Master Chief. I'll be content. Give me a campaign of something. Yeah. I am not a multiplayer gamer. I love that you multiplayer gamers love it so much. Give me a damn campaign. Until you give me a campaign, to me, Halo is dead. I have put more time in the single player than most people have in many of the multiplayers. Give me a campaign. Not everybody loves the campaign. Some people want, not everybody loves multiplayer. Some people want a campaign.
People actually want, it's what it's known for. It's one of the things that really make Xbox as a brand and their games special, right? Yeah. Because every time you got a new Gears, for the people like me and like you who want only
I need a campaign.
In a story. We get a campaign.
One of my favorites was ODST. Like one of my favorites. I heard it took like 8 months to make. One of my favorite games in the Halo franchise. I've played them all countless times.
I've beaten that game I think 5 times. It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. Yeah.
I will tell you, I have run through the beginning to the end of the Halo Master Chief saga, like that whole thing. because of the Master Chief Collection. I've played it over 20 times, the entire campaign, over and over and over again, because there's always some more to see, many different things. Give me a campaign, right? Most of all, we've heard a lot of these code names for this game, that game, all these code name drops. It's time to put meat on their bones and give us new things to be excited about. I love the knowns. I want to see the unknowns, right? I need to see the unknowns. This is the big show. This is the big show, right?
This big show. Yeah.
Yes, this is the big show. So I need to see what I'm playing this year, and I need to see what I'm playing next year. Oh, I see some folks in the chat. I've heard the rumblings. I will be gushing about it this weekend on my show. I want to see and or hear the announcement of the Wu-Tang game, ladies and gentlemen. I need to see it because we all know Wu-Tang is for the kids. Yes, I need to see it. I need to see it based on the exclusive stuff by Tom Henderson. Shout out to Tom Henderson. There's a lot to it. Open world-esque, action RPG. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I need to see it. These are the things I need to see. And I know we probably won't get any third parties, right? Maybe you'll get a drop here, a drop there, but here's the time. This is the big show, right? Yeah. The big show. So I need to see all of that, right? And of course, if you want to make me happy, specifically me happy, you don't have to put the whole hand out. You don't have to show me everything you got, but just a tip of the future. Just a tiny tip of the future, right? Just a little bit.
With your hashtag no Diddy.
No tiny tip.
Just a taste of the future. Give me a little bit.
Oh, now we need to taste it too.
Oh yeah, I need a tip and then a taste.
This is turned to rated X.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Yes, thank you. That's just disgusting. All right, thank you very much. No, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, we do.
People have been talking about the next gen hardware, potential handheld, this and that. Are you going to make the rumor and speculation keep going after the big show? No, put some meat on the bones. Yeah, you don't have to 100%. Show everything, right? Give us just a little bit to let people know that, yes, this thing is actually coming. Yes, this thing's going to be revolutionary. Yes, it's a technical leap, not necessarily a performance leap, but still, you're going to want one, right? There's a lot of rumor and speculation going on in the community. Xbox and Microsoft has always been known as the company of all companies that listens more than anybody else does. They are the company that spends time. They come to your podcast. They're in them spaces. They're on YouTube and on Twitter talking to the people. Show us you listen. Give us something, right? That would make me very happy. That's what I'm looking forward to.
No, it's good stuff. We're gonna get you one game in a hot second, but I do want to bring in Hargeet Chani. Hargeet, expectations. I think yours are as lofty as mine. And I think that we are in a position that we are going to get it in spades. They have a lot of developers, over 35 studios that are just named. That's not counting the double and triple studios they have across the world for, many of the Call of Duty franchises and developers that they have, where each of their actual named studio has 3, 4, 5 development houses across the world. They have a lot of developers. They have a lot of games in development. This is where they're going to show everything off. Now, I don't know if it's going to be like Case Ante everything, but definitely an update to many of the stuff that we know is on the way, coming out this year, second half, the start of next year, maybe even halfway through 2025, which, you might get your Perfect Dark. You might get your Fable. We have plenty of things that we know. There's a lot of things that we don't know. And again, if you read and you watch what Tom Warren is saying, he's already disclaimed that this is going to be a massive show. What are your personal expectations?
So it's really a statement show as well, right? So one of the things that happened is ABK, and this is going to be the big game that we know officially they're going to be marketing Call of Duty, right?
Right.
There's a big extended showcase afterwards, so they're marketing Call of Duty. That's a good big deal, right? I like that. That needs to happen in a big way. It's got to be like all their I have this thing from last time. I don't know if it'll actually show, but this is what they were doing. It was Starfield.
Yes.
It was all Starfield. I don't know if it's actually coming through at all, but this is the P3 signed Starfield thing, but it was all Starfield. And that's because that was the big marquee game, right? They actually had that as the Starfield Direct was the thing afterwards. That's what this needs to be. Call of Duty needs to be big. They need to like proclaim this is the house of shooters, right? And they have a bunch available to them. If a Halo is announced along with Gears being announced, Overwatch content, Call of Duty, let's say they bring Quake. I mean, you have to just.
What about if they bring Doom? Maybe
right. So I don't know if it's Doom or Quake. It's one of those. It is working on something, right?
Right.
And so it could be Doom Zero. We saw that, but again, that was pre-acquisition. We don't know if that's what they continued with. So it could be Doom Zero. It could be a Quake reboot, whatever it is, right? So you got id is due for something. They're probably going to put something out there, right? And I don't know if you see, Machine Games with Indiana Jones. If you see that as a shooter, it's more like an action adventure, right? So we'll put that aside. But they had Wolfenstein before that. They are really the powerhouse of the shooter genre, right? It's just, it is what it is, right? And they can make that massive like flag, right? We are the shooter. But by the way, we happen to also be like the Western RPG box. Right, we're giving you all sorts of Shattered Space coming. We have Fable coming, Avowed, and on and on and on. Right, so they have genres and on top of genres, they just cover everything. Right, Flight Sim is going to probably be here just to tell you when it's coming out. Right, and on and on. Right, so it's all over the place. Ara with as an RTS, or actually it's not called an RTS. What is it? It's a different little subgenre of that type of game, right? But whatever.
4X,
exactly. 4X. Yeah. So all sorts of things, right? So what I want to see is bring it, but here's the thing. I don't know where they are in this whole like acquisition thing. I would love to see they just come up and say Xbox Plus, and I don't care what's next to it, Xbox Plus, and they acquire something else.
Hopefully
that would
that's
be fantastic.
Crystal Dynamics and Idols Montreal.
It could be that. What is that new thing they call it? Was the Middle Earth group or whatever, and Friends or whatever it was called, right? Maybe that's it. Could be that. It could be Square. Could be Sega. Could be one of many other things. It could be. I don't care. Just Xbox Plus. That would be fantastic, right? And bring some of their games. The other big one that I want to see, and this is a third-party thing, unless they happen to acquire them, is Persona 6. Persona 6 is due, and there's been this relationship of games being announced, right? Coming to Game Pass from Atlas lately, right? So, hey, that could be a big announcement, Persona 6. Now, they might not do it here. I think they should do it here. They could wait for Tokyo Game Show, right? But I think this is a good big announcement. You do it at this kind of showcase. But, there's so much that they have. And, okay, you've mentioned so many of the games that they already have, like, that they need to kind of talk about. Everwild and, State of Decay 3 and all those games that we saw a long time ago. They're all kind of due now, right? So we should be getting those.
Didn't mention Joanna Dark. Dark. We're going to see Joanna Dark.
We're going to see it. Perfect Dark, right? Hopefully we are seeing this, we're going to see that reboot. But so, whatever, right? So we have all those. Are we going to see Forza Horizon? Maybe, right? That might be due. So that might be coming as well. There's so much to see. But usually the showcase is something about the next year or so. They're not going to lock it to that. They're not going to tell you that's what it is, but that's kind of what it is. It's what the next year or so is. So you're going to get some of the stuff that's going to come in, early next year as well. But that's kind of what we should be seeing, right? But they have a lot that can happen in that time. Hardware-wise, okay, were you thinking maybe they would actually show the next-gen stuff in this June showcase?
I think it's the handheld that they show if there's going to be hardware, personally.
I don't know. I don't even know about any specific kind of hardware. I would be happy with just showing next-gen UI interface. Next-gen idea. Hey, this is our idea for the Xbox Unified Framework. This is what it looks like. This is where we're shooting for. right? And then begin the idea of, hey, we'll start flighting it this Christmas or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Look,
That's
I think
the future, a taste of the future.
I think the potential for putting out the next gen console this June is a little too early,
Yeah,
unless
I
it
think
was
so too.
releasing next year.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll do that. I think the last time they did it with the Game Awards, I think that worked pretty well. At least starting the generation, they had all the momentum behind them. And then, of course, in typical Xbox fashion, they screwed it up. But we'll put that aside. Hopefully, they don't do that this time. But I think that's a good place to do that. I think the Game Awards is a good place to do that. I don't know when it's the right time. Maybe it's this year. Maybe it's next year, depending on when this thing is coming out. But there is hardware with the potential for a controller. That's a potential. There was some mention of a potential digital Series X. We'll see if that happens. I don't know if they actually do a handheld. If they do, that's great. But the thing that I'd be really curious about is Phil Spencer mentioned Itch and Epic. He mentioned them specifically. Will that show up? Will that show up and they showcase this is what we're working on? Expect this early 2025. Right? And
This
they
is what I'm talking
showcase
about. The new UI, maybe show some stores together. Like,
right?
hey,
And
show it.
boom,
Yeah.
you have your Epic games and you're playing Spider-Man on.
That's going to set the internet
Messy,
on fire when
you
that
are
happens.
messy, sir. No.
I actually think they
Go,
do
Sister
got to
Shiva.
show that sooner than later. I think
Mm.
I would actually start to lean towards the odds being in favor of them actually painting the picture of where this ecosystem is going, because I do think you need to make sure you solidify your base before you start to cast those nets out to new customers, right?
Yeah, if people could understand what that is, right? OBM, if they could understand, hey, look, in a year, you'll be playing games that are on other platforms exclusive, but they're now on Xbox. So 4 games went over there, all their games come over here. Are you as pissed off now? Right? It just changes the whole dynamic, right? And because now you don't have to okay, so everything that they have, I get to play it here. It's just like a year or two later. Okay, well that's a different story because isn't that what we're doing to them? Okay. So fine, right? And Phil said it wasn't going to damage the brand, right? They're not going to try to, they're going to make sure whatever they do, they're not going to damage the brand. So some things are going to be held back, and I don't know what is going to go and what is not going to go. We'll figure that out in the future. But having that announcement, if they actually showcase that, if they showcase Epic and Itch, right? Here they are. They now are available as, the tabs you have in your My Games and Apps. It's right there next to Ubisoft, next to EA, right? You just have it right there. If you happen to own a game in Epic,
you're in. That's it.
You're in that game. You can just play that game, right? And if that shows up, oh my goodness, is that going to be crazy? And I hope they have here are your games you own, and then half of them are PlayStation games. It'll be epic, pun intended. But anyway, I think that's what I'd love to see is bring that, right? Bring that future vision, especially since he already mentioned it. I'm hoping that means that they're working on it. So let's see what they come up with.
No, it's a great point. Kay, I know you got a few minutes. What I want to do is get how long do you have?
Oh, I have about five minutes, I think.
Oh,
Okay.
like Hago, and I know he's still.
Well, you know what? Just give us your one big one that you want there, like the one that you must have at the show.
Oh, that is a tough thing. That's a tall order.
It is.
Can I hedge? Can I hedge and give you 2? One that's very unlikely, but it would make me jump out of my chair if we got it.
Why not?
I'll give you one that would make me lose my mind, even though we will never get it. We will never get it. I warn you now. Hear me. We will never get it. But if somehow, some way, they went, oh, yeah, the coalition, we have 2 things. One is Gears and the other is a Matrix game. Holy crap. I would love that.
Oh,
that's what I would.
Okay. That's
it.
a good
They do got a second
they
thing
did
there.
work
Never
on that
get it.
Unreal Engine
Yes.
demo, so
We will never get it, but that would make this young man really, really happy.
You know, I think there was a rumor that there is going to be 2 things from Coalition.
No, there is.
Well, it's probably the Gears collection, but
yeah. Well,
maybe the Gears collection. Yes. And then Special Nick will sit there and do one of these. But you know, if it's hey, I'm being unlikely, right? If it happens, oh boy, you'll hear some squeals from me. More likely, what I want there, what I need to see there, what needs to be there for me to be happy. Give me and maybe it's a bit of a hedge. Give me something I didn't know for ABK, because so far, COD, as great as it is for me, known commodity, right? Lots of these things that they're touting is a known commodity. Show me your plans for the new Guitar Hero game.
Oh,
show me your plan. You know what I'm saying? Show me something that because it's like it looks like ABK has brought with it a lot of turmoil and change and everything else. What has ABK brought to the gamer as far as Microsoft acquisition of the gamer? Yeah, you could have already played COD. Yeah, now you don't get shafted on the DLCs and the various trinkets. I get that. Show me something that would have never come back, but because ABK is now in the arms of Microsoft, it can. Show me your remaking prototype. Show me your
one.
Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like just that one thing that was an Activision Blizzard King thing that now is opening the door. That's what I want to see. I'll talk about it this weekend. They're doing Hasbro is going all in on gaming. Show me that you're remastering their games, bringing it to show me something that ABK gives me, the Xbox guy. That would make me happy.
I'll give you mine, Boom. It's pretty simple. It's the one I already talked about, which is they need to have this year be the Call of Duty year. Starting in June, we're dropping Call of Duty 2, then going to 3, then 4, and we take off the entire year. We're going to have Call of Duty every couple of weeks or a month, right? And make it known to the world, Call of Duty is back home. Here it is. You can come play. We're not going to just throw it all at the same time. We're going to have you play each game and bring back the nostalgia of what was the 360 Call of Duty, supreme time of Call of Duty, because it kind of went downhill after PlayStation kind of took over. So
no, it's a good news. But actually, we're going to come back around because this is a two-parter. Expectations, and then we're going to get your one pick that is going to be like a game. But Kay, sell your brand. Tell everyone on Saturday where you're going to be. Where they can check that out, and we'll get you on out of here.
Unfortunately, work calls. They're pulling my string, and unfortunately, a cog in the wheel. You have to go when they call you. So I may have to bow out before the show ends, but I'll be listening with one ear while I have my headphones on in the other ear. TKO Asante on Xbox, PlayStation, all those places. This weekend on GCP, the Gaming Circle podcast, we will have Dante Moody joining our show to have conversation. He is best usually found on the Infinite podcast with Risk It for the Biscuit. Very well-rounded individual with good takes that I want to hear more from. We're talking about the hype train. We're talking about certain little aspects that have leaked out here and there. So come check us out. We tend to have a lot of fun. We keep it PG-13 on the Saturday mornings. So come check us out. Of course, the Everborn Saga will be there, hopefully, if he's not late, as he tends to be. I will get very, 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 very messy about this whole 60 frames thing because I called it. I may even pull out old footage just to rub his nose in it. We shall see. It'll be a fun time.
Well, listen, brother,
Yes.
we'll be in the chats to check that out. Obviously, make sure you subscribe to the Gaming Circle podcast. Go find him on social media where you can get both. Obviously, give him a follow on X, and of course, give him a sub on YouTube. And Kay, we will obviously we'll catch up tomorrow morning as we always do.
Thank you, gentlemen. See y'all soon. Peace.
All right, brother. So I want to go to One Bad Mother, and I want to get your expectations for the show. Listen, my glass is always half full. I'm going in there with the largest and biggest expectations you could possibly want, because I know from some things that we've heard, some things that are already out into the ether, things that are being reported upon by journalists that we all know and love, and if you don't love them, that's fine. It's going to be a big show. It's going to be potentially the biggest show of the platform history of Xbox, just based on the size and scale and scope of games in development and studios and platforms and developers that they own. What are yours?
Boy, like it's interesting because as everybody's been talking, I've been going through the list, and it's like we could probably do another 2 hours just talking about everything that could be there and why it's exciting. So I'll try not to repeat a lot of the things, although, like when Kay was talking about all the things that we want to see more information on, if it was just that, it might be the best show they've had in a while. But it is going to be a lot more than that. And what's going to be really interesting right now is because obviously we know there's been a lot of like the turmoil and the questions and the concern and some of the negativity, which I do understand, because when people don't know what's going on, they tend to assume the worst, and that's fine until they understand differently. But like I think there's two sides of this, and one of it is that the fact that they do now own ABK, the fact that Call of Duty is going to be the lead. They're going to have the biggest audience. I would put money on this. They're going to have the biggest audience they've ever had for a show of theirs. They're going to have people from across platforms that have never been on their console or haven't been on there since the 360 that are going to tune in specifically for that particular game. We know Call of Duty is one of the three biggest games in the every, in terms of most played all the time, right? It's always up at top two or three constantly throughout the year. And that, when you add it all together, maybe it's number one when you start to add in the Warzone plus the the base game and everything else. So that is going to be an interesting opportunity because they are going to be speaking to so many people. And I don't think they're going to be focused so much on speaking to them about the console, for better or for worse. I know that might ruffle some feathers right off the bat. I do think they are going to number one, present themselves as the mega publisher that they are really now. Like when you add up all the publishers they've purchased, the studios they've bought, things they've been working on for the last few years, the technology things they've been working on behind the scenes, I think they're going to basically go all out, and basically that's going to be the number one message they send here. The other thing that I do, a couple other things that I do think they're going to focus on is the other one's going to be Game Pass, right? I think, Hargy, I know that you've always been a proponent of this. Is like they don't talk about it much. The soccer mom doesn't really know what it is. A lot of gamers across other platforms don't know what it is. On PC, it's still a small adoption, and it's most likely primarily people that have moved from the console to PC that are their subscribers there. So they have a lot of room in terms of like getting the just getting the mind share out there for their service, which I do think is really going to be the horse in that ecosystem for forever from here on out. When you start talking about the core gamers, the ones that do buy the consoles, do buy a lot of games on Steam and things like that. So and then the other part of it is, I think the third phase of the show is going to be really and maybe this is really the first phase, is just solidifying the base. Like I said, there has been a lot of concern since they announced the 4 games. I think most of us, if not all of us, assume there's going to be a lot more, down the road. And I think what they need to do is just kind of calm down fears about people's, investment in the ecosystem. Let them know how things. I think they at least have to have some picture of what's going to happen. So, hey, if sales continue to go down, which they are for everybody, console sales are going to go down for everybody over the next decade. If things go down, like what is going to happen with all the stuff I bought and going to continue to potentially buy, right? So I think they should tease some things about the virtual Xbox, or about the fact that they're going to be, releasing boxes with open ecosystems, and that, Epic and might be one of the first ones that, that they bring out to talk about as a partner, even though we expect there will be more, right? So like I think these are going to be the 3 things that they'll 3 areas to focus on. And I think looking at that stuff, when you go back to COD and like this general audience you're going to bring in, here is really your chance to start hitting. ABK has a They haven't had a lot of things in production or in development over the last few years. They have been the COD machine, but we know they have a bag of IPs, and I think they've had a habit in the past of talking about things too early. I think this might be a time where it might be okay to come out and say, hey, you know what, we're going to have whether it's a Guitar Hero or Tony Hawk, we have this in development. If there is a StarCraft something, if you think
There's
about,
got to be, dude. It's the reason why there has to be, to your point, is two reasons. One, they just open up the floodgates to now start putting games back into China. That's number one.
Yep.
Number two, they have a handheld, an Xbox handheld in development in one way or another. If you release, whether it be an updated version, a remade version, or something of that IP with a handheld, you're going to break into a market they have literally been absent from for decades.
Yeah, the opportunity, like StarCraft in some markets, is just it. I mean, that would be the announcement, like one of the biggest gaming announcements in the last few years in some regions that Microsoft has no presence in today. So you start talking about them eventually having an open ecosystem, or something that works a lot more like a PC, and it's going to come with StarCraft in a couple of years, and it's going to release in these markets that don't know much about, that really don't even haven't really gamed on console, but this thing is going to look like a cheap, like an affordable gaming PC. There's so many different opportunities, and I really think this is when you're going to start to get an idea of what. I think after the show, we'll not only be able to talk about a lot of different games, I think there will be a little bit of clarity of who they're going to be going forward. And I think that's going to be really interesting. And yeah, StarCraft is something you want to associate with your brand. Like right now, you want to associate
100%.
with Game Pass, right now. And if you come out with and let's just say so we know Call of Duty is going to be there, but let's just say they talk about this year's Call of Duty, and then they tease the next iteration, which is going to be the first open world Call of Duty, right? You took couple and then add in like a StarCraft. The buzz they're going to get from something like that, and again, bringing that towards your subscription, bringing that towards your brand, is something that they've never had that opportunity for. But for me personally, what I'm really, really excited about is finding out more about those things. And I think this circles back to what Kay was talking about. The things that we do know are coming, but we haven't seen much about. I think, there's a few of those that have just been names for a long time that I think are going to surprise people. Like, for example, I heard good things about Contraband last year, and I haven't heard much about it since then, but that's something I know they're really, really high on. And that's going to be a thing that's also probably going to have some mass appeal, even as a new IP, because it is going to be more, multiplayer focused. We haven't seen anything from Everwild in a long, long time, and State of Decay, I thought, back to last generation, that was something that should have become a tentpole IP. It just needed a little bit more production value. It has one of the most unique foundations in like out there in terms of game design. It's something that mixes survival horror and RPG. Like, it brings a lot of like the modern gamer, like we talk about all these kids and these things they like to deal with. It's something that really has a lot of potential appeal across the board. And I think